Hello, 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 YouTube world. It's Miss Patti with 4 Year CNA. We're back for our live weekly question and answer session where we cover all things CNA training and testing and workplace and whatever else you have that pertains to CNA. We're here to help you. So hi guys, I see a couple of you have come in. So excited. I know I was off last week because it was Thanksgiving and I really missed spending time with you. It kind of threw my whole week off. I had no idea what day it was because I didn't have my Thursdays to look forward to. So I'm so happy to be back with you this week. I see a couple of you have come in. When you come in, let me know in the chat. Either send me a hi, a wave, or something. Let me know that you're here so I can welcome you. And as always, I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson before we get into the question and answer part of this. So go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. I'll get to them shortly. I'd like to invite you to like and subscribe. We're inching closer to that 100,000 subscribers. So if you aren't already subscribed, please consider it. And so let's get into today's lesson. Now this is a topic that was suggested about, a month and a half ago. And I just haven't been able to get to it because I wanted to do a whole presentation on it. And it's something that I hear a lot in my classroom too. So this is a question I get a lot on my classroom. Why is that not working? Hold on. Sorry. Okay. So for whatever reason, this isn't working today. Okay. So the question is, should I get my LPN first or go straight to RN if I'm looking to advance? Now, not everybody's going to want to advance, and that's fine. There's nothing that says you have to go from CNA to nursing. It's a logical progression, yes, nursing assistant to nurse, but it's not the only avenue that you have. There are some people who are perfectly happy working in that patient-focused role of CNA, and they don't want to move from it because it meets their needs. Other people want to advance their career. So either way is perfectly okay. Career CNAs, we definitely need you because you know the patients better than anyone, and that's part of the problem with our current travel CNA society, right? Nobody knows the patients anymore, and it's really hard to keep up with changes or situations that are happening with the patient. They just don't get seen or noticed because the staff is so transient. So career CNAs, I applaud you. But if you are looking to go on, there's a million different options for you in medical. But the one that most people kind of focus in on is the CNA to nurse pathway, whether it's LPN or RN. It's just a very common, natural pathway. But remember, there's a lot of other options. There's surgical technologists, there's CT and MRI technician. There are, you can work in the lab, you can work in medical records, you can become a dietitian. If I ever had to do it all over again, I would probably look at dietitian, right? There's no nights, no weekends, no holidays. You teach people how to eat healthy. It just seems like, and you make good money doing it. So it just seems like a kind of an easier career pathway. I would probably look into that. But there's so many different opportunities out there in medical beyond nursing. But we're going to focus on nursing because this is where most CNAs find themselves at somewhere in their career, is at this crossroads. I want to move on. I think I'm going to go into nursing, but do I go for my LPN or do I go for my RN? Which is better? What's the pros and cons? So there's a lot to go over. I can't give you just a one-word answer that says, yes, do this, right? There's a lot to consider here. So let me go into some of the specifics. When we're talking about school, we actually have to back up and talk about wages first. And that's going to help you understand my answer in a few minutes. So the two questions here are, what are the national average for CNAs, LPNs, and RNs? And where are the highest wages and the lowest? So this really is going to impact your decision in kind of a roundabout way. And I'm going to get there in a minute. But these are two very, very important questions you have to consider when you're looking at, should I go for LPN or RN? Okay. And we're going to break all of this down. So the first thing that I did was create this little infographic for you. And it kind of shows the different wages and work environments. Now that's going to play a part in this as well. So CNA, LPN, and RN, I just created this little graph for you. I did all of this research this morning. So this is current as of an hour ago. So the first thing that you see on each one of them here, I can't point to it, but right there at the top, you'll see 21 and 22, and then you see it there for LPN, and then you see it there for RN. So 21 is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS. This is a government organization that compiles all the data nationwide and creates these very useful infographics and things for people trying to decide on their future career. The problem is that because the information is compiled by a government entity, it's always behind. So that first number you see there are the median wages. Oh, I didn't change them. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to read this because I was trying to hurry to get on with you guys. I didn't update this, so bear with me here. So the median wage in 21 for CNAs was right around $14.57 an hour. Now that's nationally. I know that there are places that pay way more, and I know there's places that pay way less. This is the national average. So they took all of that, dumped it together, averaged it out, and this is what they got. Okay, so yes, you can make way more doing travel CNA. You can also make way less if you're in a non-technical position in a low-income area. There's a lot of variables to go into this, and I don't really want to get mired up in the details. I want to talk more broad stroke, okay? So what we saw happen between 21 and 22 is that the wages went up about $1.50 an hour almost everywhere, not everywhere, but almost everywhere, those wages rose. And that was primarily because there were CNA shortages. So a lot of CNAs during COVID, they kind of felt, I'm not getting paid enough for this and I'm out. I'm not going to do this. The risk was unacceptable to them. The pay was unacceptable to them, and they just left. Well, that left a huge shortage. So this is the law of supply and demand, people. That's all this is. This is natural economic forces at work. So if you got a lot of openings and nobody coming in to apply, then you naturally have to raise the wages to get people interested in that position. So anytime you've got a lot of openings, you'll have higher wage offerings. So that's what happened between 21 and 22. Okay. So in as of 11/24, which was the latest data from ZipRecruiter, because I use ZipRecruiter and Indeed as well as BLS, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I use these resources, and as of last week, the wages for CNAs, and this is all of the, on ZipRecruiter and Indeed, this is all of what the job offers are showing. Okay, so it went up to about $16 an hour, roughly. And that's, again, averaged out nationwide. Some places are paying way more. I know. Some places are paying way less. I know. Don't yell at me. I don't set the wages here. But this is just the national average. So we did see an increase between 21 and 22, and that is awesome. They need to keep that up. Now, we actually saw this as well with LPNs. And I apologize, this graph isn't complete. I will fix this graph and put it up on my website as well. But LPNs went from about $23.11 in 2021 to about $25 an hour. So they got a little bit more than $1.50 an hour increase, a little bit more. But again, we had a shortage. They had to raise wages to get applicants in. So, RNs, however, and this was really interesting to me, RNs did not see that much of a wage increase. So CNAs got about an hour and a half, $1.50 more an hour. LPNs got about $1.70 more an hour on average. Remember, this is nationwide average. RNs really didn't see that much of an increase. And this could be regional, of course, but I'm talking about nationwide. So what that showed is that, first of all, you guys are valuable. If they're willing to pay you more money, you're valuable, right? They need you in those positions. So the medical industry started to get a pretty good sense of, hey, these CNAs, they actually count, right? We need them. We're going to pay them more to get them in. So you, as a CNA, you automatically got a little bit more of a higher consideration, okay? Which is good. That's good. It doesn't mean as much as the paycheck, right? We want the money. You can tell me I'm doing a good job all day long. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But let me see it in the paycheck, because that's when I'll really pay attention, right? That's what we want. Well, okay. So what we have to understand here also, in addition to pay, is where these people are actively working, okay? So if you look at the CNA one, right, let me go here, right there. If you look at the CNA one, you'll see that their predominant place of work, where most CNAs work. Now, I know, guys, don't yell at me. I know that CNAs work in a lot of other places, okay? But the most percentage of CNAs work in a skilled nursing facility. This is a long-term care center or a rehab, okay? But most CNAs are employed in that setting. Now, that's only like 30% of the CNAs, so don't go crazy on me. I know CNAs are working in the hospitals. I know some work in assisted living. I know some work in home care, in doctor's offices, there's a million places that CNAs work, but the predominance is in a nursing home or skilled nursing facility. Employment outlook, very good. And it only takes you about 1 to 3 months to get the education you need to become a CNA. So schooling is actually pretty low to get into the CNA industry. Okay, so overall, go to school for 1 to 3 months. You're going to make about $15 an hour, 15, 16 at national average. And predominantly, you're going to find a lot of opportunities in skilled nursing facilities, okay? Now, the LPN, let's go up to that for just a second. The LPN, the average wage right now, well, back in 21, it was $23.11. Now it's $25. So you figure about $25 an hour is about what an LPN is going to make. And their predominant industry is going to be in a skilled nursing facility. So this is important, because when you're making that determination, right, do I want to go for LPN or do I want to go for RN? You have to think about where they're working, where the predominant numbers of openings are. So if you are a CNA and you're working in a skilled nursing facility, a rehab or a nursing home, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I absolutely hate this. I don't want to work in a skilled nursing facility anymore. I'm going to go to school for an LPN and go to work at the hospital. Well, there's a flaw with that thinking, because LPNs are not actively used as much in the hospital as they used to be. So the predominance of CNAs are working in a skilled nursing facility, but also the predominance of LPNs are working in a skilled nursing facility. That doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities in other places, okay? You may have a couple of LPN opportunities in the hospital. You may have some, well, you'll definitely have some in home care. You may have some in a pediatric daycare down the road, or in a mental health setting, or in a walk-in clinic. I mean, there are other opportunities, but we're talking big numbers here, the majority. So if you're working in a skilled nursing facility and you think to yourself, I hate this, I don't want to work here anymore, then going for LPN may be counterproductive for you, because depending on where you live, that may be, the only employment opportunities available to you. So you need to look at that. Okay. You need to figure out, where am I okay working as an LPN? Because it doesn't mean just because you're a nurse, an LPN, that all openings are going to be available to you. It doesn't work like that. So you kind of have to think about, where do I want to work? Now, we do have a workplace personality quiz on our website, foryourcna.com, that you can go take. It's free, and it'll help you figure out whether, nursing home or rehab or skilled nursing facility is right up your alley. Okay, so we kind of made that easy for you. But just remember that if you're going for LPN, you have to think about workplace settings. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, I really don't want to work in the hospital, that's not really my place. Well, not almost all, but the vast majority of RNs work in a hospital setting. Not all. There are outliers, but the vast majority, and I'm talking about something like 60% of RNs work in the hospital setting. That's a huge number. So if you're not really into hospitals, that may not be the right step for you. Now, again, there are RNs that work in hospice. There are RNs that work at the school district. There are RNs that work in pharmaceutical sales, believe it or not. There are RNs that work in a lot of different places. That's not the only place you can work, but you have to look at general averages when you're making these decisions, okay? Casey, I'm going to answer all your questions in just a second, but let me type that in for you. Hold on. Okay. So it's foryourcna.com. All right. So we understand that wages are rising. CNAs, LPNs, RNs are kind of staying pretty flat. CNAs and LPNs predominantly are going to find a lot more job opportunities in skilled nursing facilities. And RNs, you're going to find more job opportunities in the hospital. Outlook is good for all three. Now let's look at schooling. Schooling for CNA is about 1 to 3 months. Schooling for LPNs is between 10 and 15 months. I'll get into that in a minute. Schooling for RN is between 2 and 4 years. So that's a long time, guys. Long time. So let's move on here and get into some math, okay? So with math, do I have that? Yeah, I've got that. All right. So if we average out that a CNA makes, we're just going to use really easy numbers for this, guys, just really easy numbers. So if we're going to say a CNA makes $15 an hour and they work 40 hours a week, that gives them about $600 a week. I know Uncle Sam is going to take about a third of it. We're not going to talk about taxes and all of that. I'm just talking straight numbers so that we can make this math easy, right? So $15 an hour, $40 or 40 hours a week are making about $600 a week, or $2,400 a month, roughly. Now, I know they're going to offer you bonuses and overtime and all that kind of stuff, but let's just keep this simple. Now, an LPN, if they're making $25 an hour, $10 more an hour, and they work that same 40 hours a week, they're going to bring home, or they're going to make about $1,000 a week, or about $4,000 a month, and then they take taxes out. I know all that. All right, so what this gives you is a net gain of $1,600 a month. That's important. That's the big picture that I need you to understand. So if you are going for your RN, if you know that's your goal, I want to be an RN, should you go straight for RN? Or should you get your LPN first and then bridge over? So the first thing that you need to understand is the LPN program is the first year of the RN program. That's what it is. So the RN program, let's go to the top and work our way back. The RN program is 2 years of RN school. Okay, 2 years of actual nursing school. But you can't just get in. You have to take prereqs first. So you have to have your nutrition, your microbiology, your anatomy 1 and 2. You've got a whole list of classes you have to take before you can even get into the RN program. And that list is going to vary from school to school. Way back when I went, you had to have your associate's degree before you could get get into, or almost the associate's degree before you could get in. So you've got this whole bunch of prereqs. So it adds about a year roughly onto your schooling. So 2 years of actual nursing school, but a whole year of prereqs before you can even get in. So, registered nurse is like the weirdest, it's the weirdest education, because it's the only one that I know of where they force you to take 3 years worth of schooling, but only give you a 2-year degree for it. It doesn't really, to me, it just seems like there should be a something other than an associate's degree, because your associate's degree is just 2 years. Well, you completed the 2 years of nursing, but it doesn't really take into account the whole year of prereqs you had to get first. So RN's a little bit weird like that. So you're going to school for 3 years. Just kind of keep that in your head. For RN, you're going to go to school for 3 years. So 3 years. So let's go back to that math for a second, right? This math over here. Where is it? Right there. Okay. So if you're only making $2,400 a month for the 3 years you're in school, you're barely scraping by. Now, you've got to pay for school on top of that. There's not much wiggle room in that budget for school. Yes, you can get grants and you can get scholarships and things like that. But the real problem, right? You're barely scraping by at $15 an hour. But the real problem is that when you're in RN school, keeping up a 40-hour work week is almost impossible on top of your studies. There just isn't enough time for all of that. So if you're just barely scraping by at $15 an hour, and now you're in school and you can't really keep up with that kind of pace, you can't afford to back down your hours because you're not making enough to do that, right? So for 3 years of your life, you're going to be trying to get by on $15 an hour and not being able to work 40 hours a week. That causes a lot of people to drop out. A lot. So that's a huge monetary commitment. It's a huge time commitment, but there's something you can do to stack the deck in your favor here. If you get your LPN first, okay? Remember, LPN is the first year of RN school, and you don't have to have prereqs to get in. So you just go into the LPN program. No prereqs required. And it's between 10 and 15 months. Every school structures this a little bit different. The average is about 12 months. It is considered full-time, so it's going to be hard to do that 40-hour a week while you're in LPN school. But if you do, it's only 1 year, right? You're not looking at 3 years of trying to juggle that. It's only one. You could probably do it for 1 year, work and go to school. So if you can get your LPN, right? You don't have to do prereqs, just go straight to the LPN. And LPN school averages between about $10,000 to $15,000 for the entire program. That's kind of the national average. There are some places that you can get it way cheaper. I saw one for just a county north of us. They were only asking like $6,000 for the entire LPN program. That's a huge cost savings. But let's just say that $10,000 to $15,000, you go to school, you get your LPN, you work while you're getting your LPN, and now you're an LPN. So now you're going to be making $25 an hour, which gives you an extra $1,600 a month. That's huge. Now you're not just scraping by, right? You're living, you're able to pay your bills. But remember those last 2 years, you got to do 1 year of prereqs, and then you got to do your last year of RN. So those 2 years, if you're making a higher wage while you're doing that, you can either live a better life, or what's probably going to happen, because remember I said it's really hard to keep up a 40-hour work week while you're in school. School is it's way too intensive. So instead of dropping out, instead of that, maybe you can cut your hours and still scrape by, but you're doing it with fewer hours. So what this translates into is instead of having to work a 40-hour work week, you would be able to get away with maybe a 24-hour work week and still maintain the same income and lifestyle you had when you were working full time as a CNA. So it's all about managing your cost per hour. So, and it's LPN, because the schooling is not very expensive, this is super doable. Okay. So what I recommend to people is, unless if you've got a college scholarship and you're able to go to school without having to work, and, life is great. You've got a rich uncle who's, signing all of your, paying for all of your school, then go straight for RN. But if you have to work, and the majority of the people that I know have to work while they go to school, then you want to make sure that every hour you're at work, you're getting paid the most amount of money you can make. And that's where the difference between CNA and LPN comes in. Now, I know some of you are going to tell me, well, I can make $25 an hour as a CNA and, doing travel. And that's great. The problem with that, to be very, very honest, is that number one, travel assignments are not guaranteed, right? There's no way of being able to count on getting those opportunities that you need to pay your bills. It's not like you're working at a facility 40 hours a week and you're guaranteed. There's nothing like that. So what happens if you go 3 or 4 weeks without any sort of an income? I mean, would that hurt you? So you have to look at that when you're thinking about travel opportunities. The other problem with travel is that sometimes travel actually requires travel. Like, you have to go. And in that case, how in the world are you going to do your school if you're not there? So you have to think about those, those as well, those parameters. So yes, you may be able to make $25 an hour as a travel CNA going somewhere, but it's not guaranteed. And what happens if it takes you away from your schooling? So that honestly isn't that great of a solution to the problem. But my students that come to me and ask me, should I get my LPN or go straight for RN? I tell them, if you can, get your LPN first. That way you're making more money per hour while you're going for your RN, but you also get to learn a few things outside of school. So as an LPN, you're going to be interacting with RNs frequently. You can ask questions. Most RNs like to teach, explain why they made the decision they made. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of see that RN role from the inside rather than just looking at it from the outside. But the other thing is this, and this is one of the big reasons that I encourage people to do the LPN first. Number one, it's a whole lot less expensive. You're talking, $10,000 versus an RN degree right now is, I think the national average was 23,000. So that's a huge difference in money, right? And that didn't count. That 23,000, by the way, did not include your books and your supplies and living money and all of that. So that's expensive. Have you ever seen one of those nurses, and I know you guys have, but have you ever seen one of those nurses that you knew did not want to be there? I mean, just grumpy, miserable, not very good at their job. You tell them something's going on with the patient and they ignore you. Those nurses, those are horrible nurses, right? We don't want to work with them. The patients don't want to have them, but yet here they are because they've got those initials behind their name and they're needed. So unfortunately, they kind of have some job security. I don't like them, but I think that we can do better as an industry, but we've all seen them, right? Well, the reason, I often wondered, you hate your job. It's very clear you hate your job. You don't want to be here. So why don't you go do something else? And the answer is that they've got so many student loans to pay off, they can't afford to go do something else. So they're stuck in this position that they absolutely hate. Well, that's not a good solution for anybody, right? Nobody. So if you go from CNA to LPN, and you're only, your schooling is only like $10,000, which I know sounds like a lot of money. I know. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a whole lot less, right? So you go to school for an LPN, it gives you an opportunity to kind of see, is this for me? Because if it's not for you, if you get into LPN and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not what I signed up for. I hate my job. I don't want to do this anymore. You're not sitting on a $60,000 student loan that you have to pay back. That you have to work as a nurse to pay that back because nothing else is going to pay you well enough. So I always recommend that when you're looking at education as an investment, and that's what this is, right? You want to make that, $35 an hour. You want to go in that direction. In order to get there, you've got to invest in education to get you there, but you want to make sure that you actually like what you're doing when you get there. So my suggestion to everybody that's thinking about doing this is that you start off in increments. Get your CNA. Do you like it? Yes. Okay, move on to the next step, LPN. Do I still like it? Yes. Okay, now I'm going to go all in and pay the big money and get the degree that I need to get to the next level. And hopefully I'll still like it. I have seen some very miserable RNs in my career that never worked as a CNA or an LPN. They went straight into the 4-year RN and they got out into the workforce and they realized, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And they absolutely hated it. So you want to make sure that you're kind of testing yourself every step of the way to make sure that it's still what you want, because your interests will change over your lifetime. Is it something that I like, that I enjoy? Do I have a passion for it? Before you make that monetary commitment. I hope this helped you guys kind of think about education a little bit differently. And especially when you're in school, just remember that you want the most amount of money you can get for the time that you're at work, because the time you're at work is going to be limited, right? And the way to do that is to get your LPN in the middle. All right, so let's see who's here. Tijus, Ty, oh, you failed your written test. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go to my website, foryourcna.com. Up at the top, you can register for a free ebook and we'll send it to you. It helps specifically on the written test. That ebook is super, super helpful. So if you haven't gotten my ebook yet, go get it. I actually think it's foryourcna.com/ebook. You can sign up there too. Casey, how hard is it to deal with smells? Well, that's really a very personal question. Some people deal with smells really well. I mean, no problem at all. Other people, the faintest whiff of anything and it has them running for the bathroom. So everybody's a little bit different with that. But I will tell you that in my nursing career, there are a few situations I found myself in where the smells really, really bothered me. And one of the things that I used to carry it with me, was just a little container. It was kind of like, like one of these lip balms, but it was just a little container, and I'd put some Vaseline in there with a couple of drops of essential oils. And this is way, way, way back before essential oils were really a thing. But just put a couple drops of essential oils in there, whatever scent you like, and then you just put it right on the inside of your nose. Some people use Vicks because it's already pre-made. Vicks tends to irritate my skin because I got very sensitive skin and I'll look like Rudolph if I put Vicks on my nose. But just a little bit of Vaseline with essential oils, put it on the inside of your nose, and it does help with smell. Nothing's going to get rid of smell altogether though. And even masks don't. Masks don't really filter out smell. They filter out particles. But it will help, if you have an odor issue, it does help. But that's really kind of a personal thing. You have to figure out whether it's something that you can deal with or something that just isn't going to work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, if odors are a big deal, then look for a setting that maybe doesn't have as many odors, right? I probably wouldn't work in a nursing home if I had an odor trigger. I probably wouldn't work in mental health either. But I probably would be okay in maybe a walk-in clinic, or maybe an outpatient surgery center, or maybe in a school setting as a school nurse. So there are some opportunities out there that you can look at that don't necessarily deal with a lot of odors. Oh, you never went for the test. Oh, I encourage you to go. We need CNAs. So I encourage you to go. Whatever we can do to help, let us know. Hi, Mimi. Hi, Alina. Hi, Jennifer. Hey, Nikki. Nikki says, I passed the skills portion of the test but failed the written. Oh, I'm so sorry, Nikki. Again, if you go to my website, foryourcna.com, just look at the very, very top. You'll see my little ebook, and you can sign up, and it'll automatically email it over to you. So go take a look at that. It will help you with the written. Hi, Ciliana. Hi, Odigi. Okay, see, you just randomly found us. I'm so glad you found us. Nikki says, I'll get my LVN. Yeah, LVN and LPN, same thing, different names. Some states call it licensed vocational nurse. Some states call it licensed practical nurse. Same thing. So great job, Nikki. I'm very proud. Carla passed both sections on 11/23. Congratulations, Carla. That is a great job. We are so proud. Jennifer says, since long-term care facilities have catheters, how come CNAs aren't trained to pull them? In Oregon, you have to be a CNA 2 to pull them, but not required to be a CNA 2 to work at those facilities. Well, Jennifer, so there's a long lecture that goes with this. I'm going to try to condense this for you. Removing catheters is not what we call normal, routine, day-to-day CNA activity because not all patients have catheters. So bathing, dressing, grooming, socializing, eating, toileting, those are things that every person has to do every day regardless of the setting, right? Everybody has to do these things to maintain a healthy life. Pulling a catheter, that doesn't have to be done in for every patient in every setting. It's a specialized task. And that's why it's done as a CNA 2. Okay, a CNA 2 is a CNA who is working in a place where we need you to know how to do these specialized tasks. So we're going to take you aside. We're going to show you how to do those tasks. We'll give you a different name so that we can recognize who has the training and who doesn't. But removing a catheter would be a specialized task. And not everybody it's not like we're running around every shift and, taking out catheters. So not everybody that works in that setting would have to have that skill, right? So removing a catheter is a very easily repeatable task to do. It's really, you just remove the water out of the balloon and it comes out. So it's not a very difficult skill level task. And it doesn't need to be taught in CNA training because it's not something that every CNA is going to do within their career. It would only have to be taught to the very small, specialized subsection of CNAs that would need that particular skill. Now, the interesting thing is that CNA 2s can have a wide range of specialized skills, and it depends on where you go as to what they were taught. You'll also see them called things like patient care techs. Everybody has a different name for it, but they're just somebody who has a few additional skills, and we call them something else to differentiate them as having those additional skills. Casey, what's the difference between RN and LPN? Oh, Casey, I'm going to have to leave that for a different lesson because we're running low on time, unfortunately, because there's a huge amount that goes into that. But very, 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 very short. RNs are trained to look at the entire patient. every body system, every habit, every life state, everything. I mean, they have to know that patient up, down, inside out. And they're going to use that knowledge to figure out the patient's real problems and potential problems. And then they're going to develop a plan to help work on the real problems and prevent the potential problems. And it's also going to tell everybody what to look out for as a potential problem. And then everybody else is going to follow that plan. So the RN does the assessment and develops the care plan. Everybody else follows the care plan. LPNs follow the care plan. They just do higher level tasks. CNAs follow the care plan, but we do routine tasks on stable patients. That's the big difference between RN and LPN. Hi, Denise. Jennifer, so is COVID airborne or droplet? I looked online, couldn't get a straight answer. I was just wondering if you knew. Jennifer, in the very, very, very beginning of COVID, we thought it was airborne, which was bad case scenario for sure, because airborne is much, much harder to get control of in an environment. As COVID progressed, we realized that it was not airborne, it's droplet, but it's actually, it's kind of a, how do I put this? It's kind of a hybrid. That's kind of the best way to put it. So droplet means that if I cough or sneeze or talk, like right now as I'm talking, little tiny itty bitty drops of saliva are coming out as I'm talking. So this area right around me, right here, is going to be affected, right? So little droplets. So if you touched my computer mouse or if you touched my keyboard, you may come into contact with them. And then if you touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth, after touching that, you could bring those pathogens inside of you, which is not what we want. That's droplet. So droplet just basically contaminates an area about 6 feet around you. Airborne stays in the air, kind of, think of it like smoke. It kind of, forms like a haze in the air, and all you got to do is walk through it. So big difference. Airborne, I got to do is walk through an affected area. Droplet, you actually have to come into contact with and then get it into your body. Airborne, you just breathe it in. Regardless, it has to get into your body to do any amount of damage. Well, we thought it was airborne. It wasn't. And it's not exactly droplet either, because there does seem to be a component of it that doesn't just fall. So droplet is heavy. It travels on your saliva or your sputum, what you cough out, and it just falls in your area about 6 feet around. COVID seems to be a little bit more aerosolized than that. It's not airborne, but it does seem to have a little bit more of an aerosolized trait to it. So it's able to travel a little bit further than just droplets. So it's kind of a hybrid, it's interesting. It's still being studied, which is why you're not seeing a lot on it. The mode of transmission is still a little bit, I won't say unknown. I mean, we do know, but it's the virulence, because it is so virulent. That's what's making us study it a little bit more, because, we can actually do pretty good calculations. Droplet, people, it should affect this amount of people. Airborne, it should affect this amount of people. And COVID is kind of hovering between the two. Okay. So let's see here. KC says, thank you for your research. Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to have to fix that graphic. I'm so sorry about that. Yes, Blue, I had a fabulous Thanksgiving. I was able to spend time with all of my family. It was wonderful. I love having all of my kids, because my kids are all grown and out on their own. So I love having all the kids back home for the day and just being able to be a mom and spending time with my granddaughter. She is so wonderful. I know everybody thinks they have the best grandkids, but I do. My granddaughter is just fantastic, brilliant. Oh my gosh, she's brilliant. She just blows me away. So yeah, I thank you. I'm glad that I got a chance to spend some time with my family this week or last week. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving too. I've got so much to be thankful for. Jasmine says, I currently make $19 an hour. That's awesome, Jasmine. Very good. Blue says, minimum wage in Washington State jumps to $15.74 an hour. 17 if you're in Seattle city limits, and $17.54 if you're in SeaTac city limits. Wow, very good. A lot of places don't have, they just have like a state minimum wage. They don't differentiate it by city. But it was interesting because on that, let me go back here real quick. I'm going to show you something. Since you brought up Washington State, if you look at this right here, there we go. See the thumbs up and thumbs down? See the thumbs up for Washington, for CNA and LPN? Well, in my research, I found out that Washington State offered the best wages for both CNAs and LPNs nationally on average. So that was really good. North Carolina got the worst for both CNAs and LPNs. So if you live in North Carolina, you might want to consider looking elsewhere. And when you got to the RN level, the best was Hawaii and the worst was Louisiana. So that was kind of interesting as well. So whoops, let's see here. Let's go to questions. And hi, Sophie. Let's see, Jennifer says, I wish school districts hired CNAs. Have you ever heard of any that hire? Yeah, there are some school districts that will hire CNAs. It really depends on where you live. My local district does hire CNAs. And then the district just one to my south does not. So it's very, very individualized. Casey says, oh, I'm sorry. She probably is gone, but Casey, we usually go until about 3:45. I'm late today. So let's see here. Who else has some questions? My word of advice, getting into a 2-year RN program is hard, even if you have excellent grades and references. Having LPN experience under your belt helps get into a program. Yes, that is absolutely true, Blue. Absolutely. Jennifer says, RNs work in nursing homes, don't they? Or is that more LPN? In the nursing home, I thought RN had to be there 24 hours. Yes, Jennifer, you will have at least one RN on staff, but they usually work in a supervisory level. The nurses that are dealing with the actual patient care, so medications, treatments, observations, charting, that type of thing, are generally going to be LPNs in the nursing home level. So you will have one RN, but you may have 4 LPNs that are working there. So the ratio is generally at a skilled nursing facility, usually, depending on how big it is. But in most cases, it's per shift, 4-to-1 ratio or a 6-to-1 ratio. So 1 RN and 4 or 6 LPNs, depending on how big it is. Let's see here. Renewal is always a must. Yes. Hi, Davinsky. Hi, Davinsky code. Hi. JJ, renewal is always a must. I want to maintain client dignity. Oh, very good, Casey. Miss Patti, how are you doing? I am fine. And I just dropped connection there. Sorry about that. I'm so glad that worked. So congratulations, Najo. Let's see here. Yeah, in Mom Baby, we pulled catheters every day. It must depend on the union for sure. Yeah, not all places are unionized either, Jennifer. That's going to play a part in this as well. How long does airborne stay in the air for? A lot of variables there, Jennifer. I can't really answer that. It depends on the fresh air exchange. It depends on the HVAC system if it's inside. It depends on how strong the air is blowing. It depends on the viral load. There's a lot of variables there, so I really don't know. Fred says, when is the next live class? So my next live CNA Q&A, which is what we're doing right now, that I do that every Thursday, so I'll be back here next Thursday. Yay! Same time, same place, YouTube channel, 3 p.m. Here I am. But my next live class, if that's what you're asking about, will start on January 16th. So I'm taking a couple of months off. I've got a couple of things I have to work on. I'm actually in the middle of writing a instructor's manual for my book. And that's been on the back burner for a long time. I need some time to work on that. So I'm taking a couple months off. I usually don't have any classes over the holidays anyway. So a couple months off, January 16th, we're going to start again Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 1 Eastern time. And it's open to the public. You guys are more than welcome to join us on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel or go to my main website. It'll be right there on the front screen. Hit the play button and you'll see me live. And you can type in your questions and I'll try to get to them if I can. But January 16th, we'll start my next live class, Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to 1. And, unit, not union. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Casey says you live in North Carolina. Yeah. Carla says, thank you, Miss Patti. Your books and the ebook helped me all the way. Oh, congratulations. Great job. So proud of you. Oh, Casey, you're still here. Good. Yeah, we're getting ready to sign off here in just a few minutes. I know I'm usually off about 3:45. Sometimes I get a little long-winded. I'm so sorry, guys, to keep you so long. But I'm so glad you stuck in there with us. Karina, thank you for your videos. Oh, thank you, Karina. I really appreciate that. So let's get to today's congratulations. I got a lot of you. So Carla Byrne, congratulations. Welcome to healthcare. Vanette Bowers, Wendy Z, Allison Lee, and Eva Lucky all came onto our channel and told us that they passed the CNA state exam. So if you're testing soon or you're waiting on your results, make sure you go to my YouTube channel, leave me a comment on any of my videos. Pick one, doesn't matter. I've got hundreds. Pick a video, leave me a fresh comment. Don't leave a reply. I don't always see replies. I don't know why YouTube does what it does, but I'm not there to fix that problem. Leave me a fresh comment. Let me know that you passed, and we'll congratulate you on an upcoming episode, and we'd love to welcome you into the CNA family. We've got 5 people that are waiting on results. So Yasmin Luna, Chastity Perez, Phantom Jeremy, Toya Leonard, and Self-Love are all waiting on their results. So if you're one of those, make sure you come back and let us know how you did. And if you too are getting ready to test or you've tested and you're waiting on your results, let us know so that we can send out good vibes to you. We're going to keep our fingers crossed, send out good vibes to these 5 people and hope that they're going to leave us a comment and let us know that they too passed the CNA state exam so we can give them congratulations as well. So, Oda G, how can we get the ebook? Let me type this in here for you. It's foryourcna.com/ebook. That's all you got to do. Go to that website, enter your name and your email. I don't spam anybody. In fact, I don't send out emails. Like, you know, there's times I've signed up for things and I get like 40 emails a day from, I don't have that kind of time. I don't send emails very often at all. And if I do, it's something that you probably really do need to know about. I'm going to get a little better on that moving forward, but it's just not, I'm here to spread information and joy and lift you guys up and provide you the support that you need. I'm not here to, you know, fill up your inbox with junk. So go get your ebook. I'm not going to spam you. I never sell your information. I wouldn't want mine sold. I'm not going to do that to you. So go get your free ebook. And hopefully it helps you. So if you guys have any other resources you want me to create that you think would help you on your journey, let me know. Think about that over the next week and come back and let me know next week if there's something that I can do to help you guys as you're progressing through your journey, because I'm always open for good ideas. All right, guys, we're way out of time. So I'm going to say happy caregiving until next week, and I'll see you next Thursday at 3 right here on our YouTube channel. Bye.